Can I start? Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for your attendance here. I think it's a pleasure for me in particular, and for those that are with us since the very beginning, which are most of you. We had a starting meeting in Lisbon. Now, this time, we finally have it in Porto, which is a double pleasure because I'm also from Porto, it's my hometown. And this morning, while I was thinking about this meeting and also tomorrow's event, I just went back to our logo of the project. And if you remember well, this is not easy to read it from the logo, but if you remember well, this tries to resemble at least what we call a caravel in Portuguese, a caravel in English. That is a special kind of boat that was supposedly designed by a prince in Portugal, Henry, the son of John I, which during the 15th century designed it to be capable of trading beyond the African coast. So it was the need to face the winds and the African coast that led to the design of this special kind of boat. It was a very innovative thing at that time. And it seems a little thing, but indeed it was the beginning of the age of discovery, which, as you know, was the starting of the new world. And then we have this amazing thing that is quite surprising to say these days, the world divided between Portugal and Spain. It's almost a crazy thing to think that we were able to, two countries, one small and one medium-sized country, to divide the world into. But I think the reason for us to be here today is not to divide the world, is exactly to have the new age of discovery. And I think that we are exactly on the verge of something very important. And I honestly also have the feeling that this project is a very special one. Not because it's coordinated by Rich, by Carlos and by the team, not because you are members of the consortium, but because of the things that we intend to do with this project. We really want to do simple things like connecting system operators with market operators on something that will be key for the system of the future, which is flexibility. Tomorrow we'll have here with us also other 9 projects apart from EUniversal, which are giving also a very good contribution to the flexibility topic. And I think they all together, they complement each other and they were together doing something very important. But this particular case, the EUniversal project, I still believe today, and more than even at the very beginning, that this is a very crucial process. Not every time, according to the exchange that I normally have, not every time people outside the project understand the importance of the project. Because we are in the middle of something that is not clear to explain. We are on one side dealing with standards, and standards is a very complicated thing. I usually say to people that are coming to the company that if you want to do something for your entire lifetime, you should dedicate to standards because it's the only thing, the only place where you can have an entire lifetime of working is on standards because they take a lot of time to evolve. And we are doing something here that is very much simpler than the standards, but still enough resilient to couple markets with system operators. So I don't want to waste more time on this. I also have a few things to exchange with you about this city, about Porto, for those that don't know Porto, but I will do that after the workshop, at the end of the workshop, before going to dinner, because I think that there we are more relaxed and can better absorb these important things about this wonderful city, which is Porto. So very welcome to Porto. For those online, thank you very much also for your attendance. I hope you enjoy this session and also counting on you for tomorrow. Thank you. Now I pass the word on to Pilar. Okay, sorry for this. Complain myself. So I'm always the first one saying that we need to take care of this. In this case, what we need to do in case anything bad happens is we should move the way we come in, just go to the stairs, go to the ground floor and go out of the building. It's as simple as that. Should not be worry about the things that it seems that we are locked inside. No, we can easily go outside. I think it's the opposite way that is true. So enjoy the afternoon, enjoy the workshop. We will be there year around, and let's hope for the best. Peter.
Thank you, Luis. It's okay? Okay, now for the ones who know the project, it's the same thing, but I was speaking more on for the ones who don't know. Probably the ones that are online are more bigger number. I'll just make a recap on the project. Starting for the ones that are here, you have the password for the Wi-Fi to connect. Yeah, not that easy, but you'll manage. Okay, Cohen? Okay. So let's move. So what's the EUniversal project? So EUniversal project develops itself around the UMA, which is something I'll explain later on, but has a lot of things happening around. I'll go into that, not in very detail, but to set up the pace to the breakout sessions. We coordinate, we are redes, we are 19 partners from 8 countries, a lot of different companies, not just DSOs and associations and research. We also have 2 real market platforms and 1 real aggregator. So we're trying to do things as it would be in reality. So quite trying to do it quite near what will be hopefully the future. We'll see. So a lot of people, a lot of interesting and very competent people working together. What's the UMI for the ones who still don't know? It's nothing very technical. It's a set of APIs, something that manages to put in touch the DSO, market platforms, and the aggregators in a simple way without very complex systems, not imposing anything on each company systems, and trying to do it in a simple, open way that will be published for everyone to adopt if wanted. You see the dashed lines. In the future, we hope to develop the part of the direct connection to some bigger customers and hopefully also with the TSO. The project relies on the not the dash, the continuous lines. So as I said here, it's a distributed communication without the need of a mediation platform. So everyone is capable of joining in if wanted. So again, we have real market platforms, nodes and inside, real aggregator, and a set of tools, a lot of tools developed by some research institutes working in the consortium. This UMI will be published in July. And so we will be able, everyone will be able to analyze it and test it if you want, and check if we want to join this use of the UMI as an interface for connection DSOs to real markets. Around the UMI, we have more work around that. As I said, we have defined a set of flexibility services from the DSO point of view. So strictly from the DSO point of view. And they're here. I won't go very deep into them, but they concern congestions and voltage control, but then some different things like support to grid planning. That's rather new. Support to planned and unplanned operations, and something regarding the support to extreme events also. So these are the needs of the DSO identified in the project from the DSO point of view, but will rely upon flexibility to help solve those. We have a set of use cases in different geographies, Portugal, Germany, and Poland. A lot of them, again, I won't go into much detail, but then one thing interesting is to highlight what's really different in this project from other projects we've seen. We're focusing on, in the German demo, on redispatch 2.0. It's a mandatory regulation in Germany, and so we're simulating that in Germany in the demo. Also, as I said before, these two services over this flexibility market over planning procedures, using planning, using flexibility to plan operations and to plan investments, both. And then something new also from Poland. So dynamic line rating, it will be sort of flexibility the other way around. It's the DSO offering flexibility to generators. And the flex station, which is an interesting concept. It's a secondary substation. We have this flex station concept. I won't get into very specificities of it, but later on we'll have opportunity for those to discuss those also. Again, what evolves around the EUMI also. Flexibility mechanisms and market mechanisms. We've analyzed those. We're analyzing still all those. So market, as we're testing in the demos, but then also analyzing grid tariffs, dynamic grid tariffs, peer-to-peer markets. So we'll try to have a multi-stakeholder perspective on this. We know that when everything is up and running, it will be complex to manage everything all together. That's one of the challenges for the future. We are now analyzing what opportunities that we have, and we'll have a set of reports around this. Then we also have a lot of tools, as I said, and so tools to help the DSO use flexibility to solve its problems. That's generally the idea. So, as I said, grid observability, prediction of the grid status. This is interesting. This is an integrated framework of medium and low voltage control using flexibility. And then the tools to both operational and investment planning. Last but not least, we also have made a techno-economic assessment of the flexibility solutions mostly available right now. And these will be included in the recent delivery 3.3 that will be discussed as the other issues in the breakout sessions. So talking about the breakout sessions, we have three. The first one, we call it regulatory and policy, although it includes this recent study I also referred to. It will be coordinated by Ellen Wegstede from Zurich, in trying to make a Flemish accent, Fleury. I know I didn't manage, but I try, that's the least. Then the EUMI, will present EUMI and what hear from you, of course, the EUMI, your opinions, both on-premise as well as online, your opinions and your ideas on what the challenges we may face in the future. Carlos is going to be the host. It focuses on this future deliverable that's not ready, but it's almost done. And then finally, a technical session on the tools. We have a lot of tools, so we won't focus on all of the tools, but we'll focus on the most innovative, or at least the most completed so far, to get a flavor for everyone of what the research institutes can help the DSO in using flexibility. It will be coordinated by Clara Gouveia from Inestec. And that's it for the people online. please connect yourselves to the sessions. We'll physically, we the ones that are here, will go to the rooms. This is the follow me slide. So the ones to regulatory must follow me to the first floor. Or the first floor, I'm not sure, but I'll know it afterwards. The EUMI is with follow Carlos, it's easy, and Emily, who's right there. So the TSO tools, you should follow her. So thank you very much for your presence, physical presence here. I'm more than happy to have you here after 2 years. It seems like it was yesterday, but we've managed to get the project on track, although we had these challenges. And I think after this workshop, we'll run even better. Thank you for the ones that are online for your presence. Sorry for not having you here, but perhaps in the future we'll be able to join us physically. So thank you very much, and let's meet in the breakout sessions. Thank you. We're going to restart after the breakout sessions. We'll have the report of the output of the discussions from first Ellen Baxter, then Carlos Damas Silva, and then Clara Gouveia on each of the breakout sessions. So Ellen, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. Unfortunately, I can't move too much. I have to stay here, but I will discuss the findings of the regulatory and policy issues session. I can already give an introduction. So in the first session, we discussed three deliverables actually, so it was quite packed. First, we looked more in the future on the scenarios that might occur by 2050. Then we looked deeper into flexibility, because in deliverable 3.3, we analyzed actually in two scenarios, a very windy and very sunny scenario, some real network data and whether flexibility will be needed there. And then in the final session, we looked at regulatory sandboxes. So for each of the session, we had a quick introduction, and then we also asked some questions through the audience. And we thought it might be interesting to share the results with you today, if the PowerPoint ever allows. Yes, it's working. Perfect timing. So here you see the overview of the deliverables in case you want to dive deeper into them. So first of all, I said already, we were talking about scenarios in the first deliverable. So we asked actually our audience, we were focusing on mainly three scenarios in the deliverable: electrification, energy efficiency, and hydrogen. So we ask, okay, what do you think is most likely to occur? And we see the blue one, so electrification was voted the mostly, then hydrogen and power to gas, and actually no one voted for full energy efficiency. And also one voted other, so we wondered, what does this mean then? That's was actually more considering that there will be a mix of scenarios than rather happening one. Then the next question we ask, okay, so you have the scenario, but what will then be the impact on the distribution network? And here we ask the people to vote. Low impact is red, medium impact is gray, and high impact is blue. So here we saw that the audience thought that electrification and hydrogen and power to X is most likely to have a high impact on the distribution network, while energy efficiency is expected to have more a low negative impact on the distribution network. And then we had one final question on this last deliverable, because in this deliverable, also a lot of technology options were identified that could be relevant to consider when managing distribution networks. So we wrote down 6 and we asked the people to rank them from one most expected. So that's the ones in red are the most impacts, and the one in blues are the ones that are considered to have less impact. So maybe two to pick out, we saw that the electric vehicles has a lot of dark red. So what was put on the first place most often. And then on storage, we see that a lot of colors are present. And here we had the interesting discussion about that storage could be both a solution, but might also have a negative impact. The Polish DSO also mentioned that it will be very dependent on regulation in the country. And here we also discuss, okay, but what is storage? It can be real electric storage, heat storage, electric vehicles. It can be take multiple forms. Then we move to the next deliverable. So really looking at flexibility in flexibility requirements in networks. And here, actually, the main question we ask is, okay, we did simulations in this network, in this deliverable, so we had some assumptions, but do you think the results are still relevant or not? So blue is yes, we observe these things in reality, we think your results are relevant. Green is the opposite, like no, you might have made too many assumptions, and orange is somewhere in between the two. So luckily for the outcomes of the deliverable, most voted yes or somewhere in between. Then the next question we asked was, for flexibility markets, where do you think they will most likely occur? Because in the deliverable, 2 cases were considered, both congestion management and voltage control, but also low voltage and medium voltage. And here we saw the third one, so medium voltage congestion management, was chosen as the most likely option to place flexibility markets. And then we also discussed, like, why did we make the difference between voltage control and congestion management? And here we saw that this is often because the voltage control might be an even more local problem. That's why we made the difference between those two. And then we had one final question on regulatory sandboxes. And here I need to give some context. So at the end of the deliverable, we state 2 questions as a conclusion. First, we thought about, okay, can sandboxes now speed up innovation? And here we see there is both an opportunity. That's the first sentence, if you might be able to read it. There's an opportunity that sandboxes can bring innovation. And here we see that most of the participants agreed or even fully agreed. Then on this statement, do sandboxes speed up innovation? We also saw a risk that innovators might rather be looking for subsidies over regulatory advice. And also this is agreed on or fully agreed on by both of the participants. Then we also thought about, are sandboxes now relevant to speed up innovation? Again, there was an opportunity for sandboxes to speed up innovation, and most of the participants agreed or fully agreed. But then finally, there's also a risk, or we thought in the deliverable, there might also be a risk that sandboxes might be used as an excuse for delayed implementation of regulation. And here we see in the answers that there's a lot of undecided or even disagreed on this. So that's also an interesting point for future discussions. So this was my short summary of our session. If you're interested, please contact us to reach out for the different deliverables. Okay.
Okay, so hello everyone. I will be presenting the session on the UMEI, making a brief recap of what we spoke about and the main issues that were raised in that session. We had some interesting discussions that I would like to share with you. This is not working again. Probably this is a common issue. No, it does not work. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is it. So we started, I'm just trying to make a brief recap on the presentation by picking some of the slides that were most important to it. We started by explaining what UMEI is. So it's the means to interlink the DSOs with the market operators for flexibility and also the aggregators in order to satisfy the DSO needs in terms of congestion management, voltage control, and other needs in terms of flexibility. It basically consists on a set of open APIs that enables the communication between these several entities in a distributed manner. And I'm sure that all of you already know that, but we will speak a bit this later when we are analyzing the questions. So this is a good slide that I like to show on this explanation of the UMEI. It basically shows the status of the UMEI as it is right now. So it allows to perform multiple operations that can be divided into 6 process groups to deal with baselines, orders for buy and sell flexibility, meter readings, markets, portfolios, and also trades. In the session, we explained each by which one, which are the APIs that were defined for each one of these process groups. And I think there was a good understanding of what the UMEI is, and we can check this also in the specification file. Then we also spoke about the market platforms, and it is very important that we have 2 distinct market platforms that trade flexibility working on this development of the UMEI, because it creates the necessary interoperability that a mechanism such as this one must have. So you can see this slide, this was already shown by Pedro at the beginning, but it basically showcases that with the UMEI, we are able to operate several types of markets with different auction types to exchange multiple services, to have multiple buyers, and also with different timelines. So we designed the system that in some way harmonize all of these mechanisms and makes it possible for these products to be exchanged and to serve the needs both from the DSOs, but also the FSPs and through the market platforms that are participating in the project. Then we also talked about the specific implementation of the UMEI regarding in this case, the Portuguese demonstration, in which this image is very good because it showcases that the UMEI is not a single system or a single platform. It can be taken by several entities and instantiated on their own system. So in this case, we have the FMO server, one for each one of the market platforms, that allows to receive bids and then to make the clearing of those bids in order to activate the products that are exchanged. But also, it also allows the DSO to exchange meter readings directly with the FSP. So in this case, the FSP took one part of the UMEI, instantiated, and it allows this communication to happen directly between the DSO and the FSP. And in our perspective, this is what makes the UMEI powerful. Then I would like to go through some of the questions that we placed on the session. This was the first question, just to warm up the entire meeting. And basically, we asked, what's the UMEI? And assuming that most of the people are familiar with this concept, we were expecting for everyone to guess this one. But probably, as it is so simple, it's hard to understand sometimes. And in fact, it is a set of API specification, and I hope this is clear for everyone now. It is not a platform, so it is not a single system, and it is not either a data model. It exists a data model behind the UMEI, but that's a consequence of this API specification being developed. And it is not also a DSO system for managing flexibility. Now, this question was also very interesting for us. So basically, we was asked what the audience thought were the main challenges for the UMA to become an European standard. And the fact that we are saying that it is a standard, it's not very accurate because it is a way to harmonize this type of communications. But we got some interesting insights. So the first one is that it should be able to support multiple structures for communication, such as JSON, XML. As it is right now, it just supports JSON, but it can be extended in the future to support the other communication structures types. And this is not the data models, it is the structure. But also it was important to assure the system compatibility and also the another topics that were less identified, but we think that there's also potential in there, especially if we want to make this an European widely used mechanism for exchanging flexibility. And lastly, at the end of the session, we asked for what should the priorities be in terms of development of the UMEI. And from these answers, it is clear that the relationship with the TSO should be a priority in the developments to come. So this is critical to have a way also to exchange information with the TSO and to align the grids in order to not cause problems somewhere else, neither the TSO to the DSO or the DSO to the TSO. But also the inclusion of other steps in the process. So the UMEI currently does not support the settlement. This is due to the efforts of the project, but we thought this could be important in the future and also on the developments to come to include this step of the project. But lastly, but not the least, it's interesting to also to see that the alignment with standards was the last voted option. And this is interesting because we are looking at the UMA as being the standard way to communicate. But does it really need to be aligned with existing standards for energy? And we had an interesting discussion about this. And it was more or less agreed that we need simple ways to communicate between ourselves. And the simple ways may not involve the standards that deeply characterize the grid in those ways. So we might be losing a lot of potential benefits if we choose to go for the standard way and choose a concrete standard to characterize the grid and to exchange these products. Some small companies that can offer, for example, resources might not be able to get there in time. And that's why we are building the UMEI to make this easy, almost plug and play for anyone that wishes to adopt the solution. And yeah, I think this is it for my parts. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if it works for me. Okay. Okay, thank you, Rita. So regarding breakout session 3, it was about the DSO tools that we are developing complementary to the market platforms, to the specification of the services. And so we have a vision for what it is, the distribution network with this flexibility. It should be flexible, it should be predictive, but it also will get more resilient. Today, we focused on the flexibility and on the capability to forecast the technical issues that requires us to use the flexibility from the distributed energy resources. And so, considering that we have a market-based approach in EUniversal, we need to align what are the DSO tools with the different processes of the market. And this was the way we guided the discussion throughout the system use case and the development. And so we identified from the different market processes, we identify what does the DSO need to be able to interact, and focusing mainly on the flexibility needs assessment, on the procurement, trading, and in the activation. And so we need tools to forecast the status of the network, to pre-identify technical violations, and also quantify the flexibility needs or select the beats from the market. And we did a lot of tools. And so we, in order to show you how and to organize all these tools that we developed, we have three main groups of tools. The tools for the constraint forecasting, and there you have tools for the high voltage, for the medium voltage, and for the low voltage. You have tools for the flexibility assessment and for the bid selection and validation. And so today, we weren't able to present all of them, but at least give you a perspective of what we were developing and focusing mainly on the low voltage network. And again, first we tried to guess what was the main concerns of our audience. And unfortunately, we got to the DSO coordination, which was not the focus of our session. Our session was actually focused on low voltage network and medium voltage to low voltage coordination. And that's good because it means that EUniversal is tackling a point that the other projects are not actually looking in deep. That is to get and to develop the necessary tools for the DSO to be able, in one hand, to manage the flexibility to improve its operation, but also to improve its observability to then talk to the DSO. And that's for sure, it will be needed when we get to this TSO-DSO coordination. So today we discuss low voltage network issues and the tools that we are proposing to solve these problems. And so how we can improve low voltage network observability with limited data. And we showed three tools that are doing that. And actually, Koen from Vito showed this very interesting slide. And he defined the low voltage network as this green field. So we don't have too much information. It seems all green. But how will we manage this low voltage network with that? And so we have massive scale. So every solution that we develop needs to be scalable. The low voltage network is unbalanced. With single phase networks, we have limited knowledge about the topology, and we have limited monitoring and control capability. And so we presented three tools. One that considers that we have some information about the topology, that we can use somehow the traditional OPF-based tools to quantify the flexibility needs, to group them in areas. And we have two different tools that are mainly data-driven. One that considers limited information, historical data, typical load diagrams, and another that uses the smart meters and considers that the DSO will be able to use that information. And in the end, we ask the audience, so what should be the role of these smart meters? Because, and you can see here that the answer, it's quite evident. So we should use the data for the DSO operation and planning. And so why aren't we doing that? And we got also to the conclusion from the discussion that this is mainly a regulatory problem in the different countries, but also at the European level. And so this is one of the problems that the European projects, the European companies from the different areas need to tackle and to try to get to a place where we actually can use this data because it's quite valuable. And we have shown from the research perspective that is quite valuable. Also, regarding so about this marketplace flexibility or this possibility of the DSO limiting the resources, it's also quite clear that the audience considers that the flexibility should be procured, should be market-based, but it's also important to manage that the DSO should have the capability to control in case of emergency. And so not on a normal operation perspective, but on an emergency perspective. And so basically, today we have presented the coordination management framework that EUniversal presented and developed, where we are trying to get the way to having a medium voltage to low voltage coordinated operation. We are using low voltage resources. They can help for sure on low voltage network operation, but they can also help on medium voltage, but they are interconnected. So we need to find a way of coordinating this to then get to the TSO. But we need to improve the observability, particularly at the low voltage, addressing the specific characteristics of this network. And also we discussed about the different market designs, and these market designs will have an impact on the tools. Depending on the market design, the DSO may need to adapt and may need to adopt different tools. And I think next year we will be able to present some interesting results on that, because we are actually testing two different approaches. We are testing 2 or 3 approaches for the tools. And so I think we will have very interesting results to present. And that was it from session 3. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I have 6 slides, but fortunately not working, so I'm going to do it without slides. Okay, so first of all, congratulations to all of us. I think that we didn't lose the capacity to do the things well. I think I had the opportunity to enter the 3 rooms and listen to the conclusions, and I think I'm a little bit, I would say amazed is a strong word, but surprised, good in the positive sense with the conclusions, because we are very, very up to date on the topics. I took some notes. I have some green lights and some yellow lights. I think that always on the positive side. The green notes is that we touch upon the real key issues that we need to address now when we try to tie the policy, the energy policies, with the projects and developments in the projects themselves. The yellow line is still what we see that we need to tackle, but we are not tackling. Not fault of the Universal project. I mean the entire ecosystem as a whole. And starting by the first presentation from Ellen. One of the things that I think it was a little bit of our concern, if I may say that, is energy efficiency. I think it's not receiving the desired attention. And I was thinking to myself, whenever we are trying to charge an electric vehicle, are we thinking about flexibility or about energy efficiency? Because if we think from the efficiency of the system, I think it's better to think about energy efficiency. It should be part of our daily behaviors to understand that there are better moments in the daytime to charge the vehicle and not waiting for someone to pay us to change something that we should do in natural operating mode. And I took note of that. I think that we are not going to solve it immediately, but it's something very important. On the opposite side, we are all running fast towards sector coupling. We have 5 answers saying that sector coupling is important. It is indeed important. But we are still struggling to electrify society. So let's do it one thing at a time. I think it's important also to be calm on that and clearly understand that we cannot deal with everything. And Clara was very clear on that, on the need to do it phase by phase. Other very interesting thing is the fact that we all recognize that heat pumps and electric vehicles are probably the most flexible loads that we have on the system. So again, let's electrify society. Let's also try to coordinate in a good sense. I mean, making people understand that it's important that they should also take part in the flexibility procurement, not only by going to the markets, but also by adopting good behaviors, which is something that is positive to the entire society. And one very interesting discussion that I attended was about sandboxes, opportunity or risk. I think it's a very, very good point, that one. I tend to see things on the positive side. So I see it as opportunity, not as a risk. But again, I think it worth a reflection on that. But let's not wait regulators to decide on this. I think it should be us in a transparent way to decide if we want to see it as an opportunity or as a risk. On the second, the UMI discussion, it's a very technical one. People typically don't like so much to discuss about technical things, but we need to do it. And for me, the most important point is something that we will not agree on that for sure. It's when we try to convey a message that relates standardization with harmonization. I think we will have that discussion in the coming years. We had a discussion in the previous years, and that will be here for the long term. I started this afternoon by saying that if you want a job for your lifetime, you should go for standards. Because standards there, you will take 20 years, 30 years, 40 years to evolve standards. And one of the good things about UMEA is exactly to try to simplify this. So my opinion, only my opinion, is that we should balance this approach and whenever possible, try to keep it simple, as Carlos was saying as a conclusion from the discussion. Another important point is also that we need to dematerialize solutions. That is also very important and goes very well with the digital transition that we are also discussing these days together with the energy transition. And a common point between Carlos' presentation and Clara is TSO-DSO coordination. I don't know. We have been discussing this. We had a group start in 2016 that started by discussing the data exchange, then moved to flexibility. I think we have done a good job. There is this ASM report, which is indeed laid foundations to some of the discussions that we are having here. But I think that important is to understand that both entities need flexibility. Both entities are part of the same single system, a system that composed of different systems. Both entities need to understand that we have a decentralized world, but at the same time needs also centralized approach for certain issues. So cooperation is mandatory, but should be something natural without any pre-elaborated ideas, which is not in the favor of the discussion. So it's a good point also. Now on Clara's conclusions, we are totally aligned on the need to increase observability, controllability, predictability, everything that ends with ability. We did do in our networks. We know that low voltage networks are not easy to manage, will not be easy. And the bad thing is that people, citizens like us, don't really understand the technical problems. They don't need to understand. It's up to us to decide on that. But it's also important to say that not everything is pinky, not everything is good. So whenever we install a PV panel, we know as engineers that some problems will arise in the networks, but it's part of our job to solve those problems. But it's true, we need a smart, flexible, and resilient distribution network. That is mandatory. A step-by-step approach, very good. I think we all agree on that, but at least I agree. I think we need a step-by-step approach. That is the cleverest thing to do. And we need to be ready for this limited data approach. In my world, I would prefer a not limited data approach. I would prefer a world where citizens and society and market parties understand that DSOs and TSOs also need to know what is going on top of that networks. That is one of the key points in the discussion that we see coming in. Again, people are pushing more for the market side. We are discussing the grid edge, the data edge, everything that has to do with edge. But let's understand that this is like a main route. We need to know the traffic on the road. Otherwise, the road is not ready to support the amount of traffic. A very important point is DSOs need to procure flexibility instead of imposing it. Also a good point. We are in favor, I believe, all of us, of a market-based approach, but we should also be capable of understanding something that we coined in 2008, the DSOs, I mean, that we need to have a flexibility toolbox. There is not a single solution to everything. So the market should be the priority, but whenever it's more cost-effective or there's not another alternative, we should go for different solutions, as simple as tariffs or as complex as bidirectional contracts, which should be part of the solutions. And that is all that I gather for now for the conclusions. And once again, thank you very much. I think it was brilliant. I think we managed to do a very good exchange this afternoon with very good results, and for sure people that are following online also share this idea. Now on a different thing. So we are now ending the work day, and we have something to share with you. So already asked the slide. So we are supposed to leave this headquarters at around 7 o'clock in the evening. So please be here on time, because otherwise you should walk or take the metro, and unless you should put the coordinates on your smartphone. But Rita made me a favor, and you cannot see anything saying where the dinner will be, neither the coordinates. So be lucky and find a place by yourself. So 7 o'clock sharply here, if you don't mind. We will take you there. We have a bus to take you to the place, and for sure you will like it. My word on that. Another thing, we would like to take you to Ribeira, so close to the river, after dinner, just a short walk, if you are okay with that. And after that, the bus will pick us there and bring back people here again to Casa da Música, a nice place. And finally, just one more minute of your patience. I have just a few notes on Porto. For those of you that don't know this magnificent city, which is my hometown, this is called the Invicta city. Invicta means never conquered. So, and this was because we were capable of defeating the invaders during the 19th century Portuguese civil war. And it was at that time an impressive. I was not there to see, but someone told me that it was impressive, I believe. And because of that, we are the Invicta, and we also have the Invicted football team, which happened to won the soccer championship last weekend against our major rival, which is Benfica. Imagine from where? Lisbon. Sorry for those, but that are here with us that like Benfica, but it is a fact that we should stress today. It's also important for you to know that this is the city that gave the name to Portugal. Indeed, the Portuguese country started here with, I don't know the translation in English, we call it the condado. It's from the time of the kings. We have no kings for a long time ago in Portugal. But it used to be called Portus Cale. I don't know the meaning of the word Cale. I was reading something about that. It's not clear, but Portus is clear. It's Porto. Whenever you see again Portugal, you will remember always Porto, which is indeed where everything started. Not the country itself, but the name. The people are smiling because they know that I'm joking. I like to joke with this, and sorry for this. So also for you to know, this city has memories, a long memory. So it started, according to my notes, during the Bronze Age, more precisely 8 centuries before Christ. So long story. It's not so short. It's also UNESCO World Heritage since 1996, the oldest part of city. So if you have time, please pay it a visit. You should not regret of that. More recently, is also known by the city of the bridges. Indeed, we count them, and there are 6 bridges crossing the city to the other side. A nice fact. We are also tied to the Harry Potter saga because J.K. Rowling was a teacher of English here in Porto when starting reading down the famous saga of books of Harry Potter. There is indeed a bookstore, a library, close to the Cleric's Tower, the main icon building in the city from Nazoni, and that is very, very well known these days because of the stairs. The very, very pleasant place to see. We are also the only city in Europe that has an urban park that faces the sea. It's very interesting. Probably you have no time to go there, but if you want to go to the beach tomorrow, why not walking down the park and just go straight to the sea? It should be cold. And finally, not forget to try a francesinha, the little French sandwich. So it's good for the evening, for a good dinner. And also for you to know that it was elected best destination in Europe in 2012, 2014, and 2017. And I bet it will be it again 2023, my bet. And finally, a final word for those who have time and the opportunity. We have Porto is home to one of Europe's largest street festival. I'm not joking about this. It's the St. John's Day on the night from the 23rd to 24th of June. Everyone goes to the street, everyone. And we can eat sardines, we can have a dance, we can listen to popular music. And we have a very special thing which is called an hammer, a plastic hammer, and everyone beats on top of the other people with this hammer. It's never seen anywhere in the world. So please come here next month, the 23rd of June. You are always invited to, and we are happy to receive you here. Thank you very much for this afternoon, and see you sharply at 7 o'clock. Okay, thank you. Sorry, if you don't mind, 1 minute more, we go to these stairs here to take a group picture.